Hi guys, so you want to shoot B-roll shots, but you don't always have good ideas to make them look beautiful. In this video I have 5 tips for you to change that. Okay, let's start directly with the first B-roll shot idea, and that's to shoot Sunstars. The nice thing about it is that you can do it pretty much everywhere as long as you have sun. So today we can actually not do it because it's an overcast day, but I will leave some shots here so that you can see what I mean. And the way how you do it is that you simply raise the aperture of your lens. So for example, if the max aperture of your lens is 22, if you raise it to 22, you usually get nice Sunstars. It depends a bit on the lens. Some lenses don't give you Sunstars, others do it, so you really just have to try it out if your lens does it or not, but most do it. So yeah, just take some of your lenses, go out and try it out for yourself. You don't necessarily need to be at the highest aperture. Usually it's totally fine to be a bit under, but then the Sunstar is not as strong as on the max aperture. And because you shoot in such a high aperture, it's generally not recommended to use ND filters then, because that would make your image too dark, and therefore you would have to raise up your ISO, which can introduce noise. So keep that in mind when doing that, but generally that's a shot that you can do everywhere. And as you can see here, it really looks nice, doesn't matter where you are. So that's really a shot that you can get everywhere, and that definitely improves your videos. Okay, and the second idea here for better B-roll shots I have is to shoot shadows instead of only the main subject. And the reason for that is that when you shoot the main subject only, it's not as interesting because the viewer directly knows everything about what's going on. So for example, in the shot that you see here right now, I'm in a forest and we were hiking there, and instead of filming my friend, I actually filmed her shadow, and that makes it a bit more mysterious and interesting because people know, okay, we're in a forest and someone seems to walk there, but who is it and why are people walking there? So by filming shadows, you instantly make it look a bit more interesting. Then also what you see here in the next shot is a time lapse that I shot on Sicily about a year ago, and there you see the shadow like walking over the ground from a building. And it was shot at sunrise. I got this idea for this shot by seeing a photo on Instagram, and then I thought, well, that must be a nice time lapse to see the shadow moving. And it's also kind of a cool shot, right? I wouldn't really say it's mysterious in that way. It shows more how the time is passing because it's a time lapse. But it's definitely more interesting than only showing the building with the sun behind it. So definitely get some creative ideas of how you can use shadow in your B-roll footage. It makes it look more interesting. Okay, now I already mentioned time lapses, and yeah, you definitely heard about time lapses before. That's the third idea here, but I still don't see so many time lapses and hyperlapses in travel videos, and I really don't know why, because it's such an quite easy way today to make your B-roll shots more interesting and your travel videos in general, but it's also a nice way of storytelling because it shows time is passing by. And that's quite obvious when you go from one place to the other. Doesn't matter if you walk or if you go with a car or whatever, you can simply show a hyperlapse of that to tell the story of going from one place to the other quickly within 2 or 3 seconds. Then the other way is also maybe one time lapse that I actually shot here a few weeks ago when I was here in the morning and the clouds were very low. I simply showed the cloud movement by using a time lapse, and that's a great way of making your travel videos more interesting because we can't see that with our own eyes. Like even if I stand there for 5 minutes, I can't really see much of that cloud movement because it happens so slowly. But when you shoot a time lapse, that shows how the clouds move there, and that makes it more interesting because it's something that we usually can't see. So definitely shoot more time lapses. It's really not that complicated. You can either just do it by letting your camera roll with normal video and speed it up later in post. Many cameras already have a time-lapse video feature so that it directly produces a time-lapse video and you don't have to do any post-production work. But also what I love to do a lot, what takes a bit more work, is to simply shoot single raw photos and develop it later on my computer. That's definitely a lot more work, but therefore it also looks a bit better later and I have full control on my computer over it. So yeah, definitely use time-lapses more. There's really no excuse today anymore not to do it. So, and another B-roll shot that is actually quite easy to do, but I don't see it, especially from beginners so much in travel videos, is close-up shots. So there's a motorbike coming right now again. So close-up shots are also one thing that is very easy to do, because you can just do it with a kit lens. You don't need a special lens for that or anything. And what it only means is that you get close to subjects. For example, we have those leaves here. It's a very easy shot. I can just take my camera here, zoom in a little bit. Leaves slightly move from the wind, so that's great. And I directly got a B-roll shot. And the reason why I like close-up shots so much is because that's what actually videography and photography is about. The more you do it, the more you develop an eye for the beauty around you. And I would say that separates us a bit from the general tourist. Like general tourists just walk around and see, oh yeah, nice landscape, but we as photographers, we start seeing the small things. We start seeing how the light hits a leaf. Not today, but for example, when the sun would be behind this leaf here, then you would likely have some reflections and the sun would light parts of the leaf up and so on, which makes it look very nice. And as a photographer, you see that, and you get a photo of that or a video, and by using our cameras, we can show this beauty to other people, and maybe we can inspire them to be a bit more conscious when they go to a place, when they travel somewhere. And this is something that you can do with close-up shots, but not as good with wide-angle shots. So that's why I think it's so important to incorporate more close-up shots in your B-roll footage, just to show people the real beauty of a place and give them a better feeling. Okay, let's come to our last B-roll shot idea, and it's not really an idea for one specific shot. This is generally just that you should film yourself more, because that's also what I see. What many beginners don't do is simply to take a gorilla pod or something like that and then attach your camera on it and get shots of yourself. The reason why I say that and why it's so important is that what you do at the end by incorporating B-roll into your videos is that you want to tell a story. And if you only show what's going on around you, that's of course not bad, but it's always easier to tell a story by showing what you do on a certain place. The best thing, of course, is if you bring a friend, because it's quite hard sometimes to film yourself. Like, you would have to put your camera everywhere. What is okay, I also do it oftentimes, but obviously having a friend that you can just give a camera and then you do something in the shot, that obviously makes it a bit easier. Actually, my girlfriend Gao is filming me right now. It's a lot easier to do it like that than having a tripod and needing to put it everywhere and reset it up and look all the time if I'm perfectly framed. So she can film me now, and that makes everything a lot easier and quicker. So this video actually didn't take too long to produce. And yeah, so basically, even if you're alone, really just put your camera somewhere, even if it's just filming yourself walking. That's something good that you can do for storytelling. But also you can take your tripod and just film yourself, just look around like, not filming myself actually right now, but by doing that, you can actually deliver emotions in your travel videos. You can create a story and so on. So that's great. Definitely film yourself more. As mentioned before, bring a friend if possible. Otherwise, the Gorilla Pods here, I have the 3K Plus version or Pro, whatever it's called. It's made of metal, so it holds your camera a bit better and it lasts longer. So that's great. Yeah, just get something like that, and then you can easily do those shots. So I hope these 5 shot ideas were helpful, but of course the most important thing is really to get creative with B-roll shots in general. So videos like that here can help you a bit, but another tip that I have for you is to really watch more videos from your favorite creators and pause them in between and at shots that you especially like, and then really ask yourself, what kind of shot is it? What lens did he use? What angle did he use? Where's the light coming from? And so on, because that really makes it possible for you to copy those shots basically. And when you're then in a certain place and you see something similar where you can get a similar shot, then you directly get the idea in your head, you imagine the picture, and that helps you a lot to shoot it. Also, when you're at home right now in your home country and you can't travel, don't stop shooting. Go outside and just get some random shots. I know when you're at home you don't really feel motivated, you don't really feel creative. That's totally normal. In the moment where you go out, especially for sunrise or sunset, then you will easily find some good shots, and that trains your brain, that makes you more creative. And then when you go on a trip later, that makes it easier for you to get good shots. So much for that here. I hope you enjoyed this video. If yes, then please leave me a thumbs up, and also don't forget to hit the subscribe and the bell notifications button for upcoming videos. See ya.